Hello, everyone. Welcome to this session on um, all about our new AI literacy course. So I'm sure you all have seen the news somehow, either through our newsletter or through our social media. But we recently launched a new AI literacy course for students. And today I'll walk through it. I'll show you all the different piece of content that come with it and how we kind of recommend, or we're imagining at least, people using it in their schools. And yeah, we'll leave some time for I ask some teachers about how they've been training students prior to this, and we'll also leave some time for feedback on the course or any ideas that you all have and want to discuss about how best to help students develop their AI literacy. Yeah, I'll start off with some icebreaking news as always. This one's an interesting one. And then I'll go through the certification contents, kind of touching on the slides, videos, quiz. We won't go through absolutely everything, but just kind of showing you all what everything looks like and a summary there. And then I'll walk through also the certification activities. Sun will actually share how she created those for this course. And yeah, then we'll finally have some time for some share out and feedback for the whole thing. Great, yeah, and the recording will be available later. Questions are welcome at any time. Yes, typical Flint Campfire session things. So with the icebreaking news, I don't know if you all saw this, but just last week, OpenAI actually launched this blog article specifically directed at K-12 for mastering prompts. And they showed some examples from okay to great. And, OpenAI, big company, lots of resources. I guess everyone had higher expectations for how this would go. And I think a lot of the drama came from when we started seeing the LinkedIn post roll in, and everyone was saying how, it's an attempt, but it's not quite at the mark, or a lot of people were actually very concerned with some of the biased outputs that reinforce learning gaps. So yeah, I mean, I'm not sharing this just to bash on OpenAI or anything. I think it's really important, that you all critically look at what our team has put out as well, and give us feedback on it and help us learn from it also. But yeah, this might be something cool to look at as well if you want to see I think some of the advice that they gave was good, but it isn't really looking at the context of teaching. It's more so just looking at the context of prompting. So I think as these sorts of guides come out and as these sorts of different courses come out, it's also really important to think of it from, of course, you all's teaching lens and give us feedback and help us improve it too. Yeah. So with the certification contents, or actually, does anyone have any thoughts on the OpenAI stuff? I don't know if you all saw it yet or want to comment at all. Okay, all good. Yeah, so with the certification contents, everything is included at this website, flintk12.com/AI-literacy-course. And also after this meeting, all of these slides will be sent directly to your email. So yeah, if you want to check everything out afterwards, that is an option. But yeah, within this website, let me just share my screen to that. We have everything from the background on the program to kind of describing what's included, how we suggest you sharing things with teachers and with students. And then, yeah, we kind of bucketed out unit by unit, going from the first unit, linking to that part of the deck. And then we have links to each of the videos and some additional resources as well, like the Flint activity templates that we've made, and also any other things. Like here we have an additional longer AI glossary if you want to go through more terminology with students. Yeah, so this is where everything is. And for the rollout process, we kind of imagine it as something that could take 1 to 2 weeks, but also it kind of depends. We also saw students complete it within 20 minutes. So I would say it kind of depends on like how in depth you want to go, how much you want them to like really practice each piece of the certification content. And yeah, of course, like how familiar your students already are with AI. So typically, like we're looking at it as kind of a 4-step process where you can show the videos as an overview. The videos don't cover everything that is in the slides. So then we do recommend walking through the slides in depth, or at least giving the slides to the students as a reference. And then we did create the Flint activities so that students can reinforce their learning and kind of apply what is talked about in each unit. And then finally, there's a quiz, takes like 20, 25 minutes, multiple choice that they can take. And then afterwards, our team send them the like very official and cute looking certification. Yeah, so that's kind of how we imagine that part. Any questions about rollout or how to use this? Yeah, go ahead, Yossi.
I was curious to know what age groups this is targeted towards.
Yes, of course. Yeah. So we targeted mostly towards high school. I think some like upper middle school could also understand it. But yeah, we are planning on creating a version for middle school and lower school, also a version for teachers. But yeah, figured we'd roll one out first, get you all's feedback so we can make the next versions better as well.
Thanks.
Yeah, go ahead, Kate. Oh, you're still muted.
Sorry, I probably missed this because I'm sitting in the library and it's very loud, but where is this? Where can I find it?
Yes, yeah, let me go ahead and share the link for you all in the chat there. Everything's on our website. Yeah, and you'll get these slides after as well. But yeah, this is just the slides of the session. On our website has like the slides for the actual course.
Thank you.
Yeah. Cool. Any other questions so far? Yeah, go ahead, Melissa.
Sorry, hold on one second. I'm just wondering, I've had a couple schools tell me they're trying to have all their kids go through a self-paced course because they think that's just something they'll face in college and better to do it together. Do you think this is something that could be adapted in that way, or is that a bad choice? Is it just too much free play all at once?
I think it's definitely self-paceable. All of the content is in the slides. I don't think there's anything that like requires a teacher to walk them through, especially if they're at the high school level. Yeah, everything's like pretty laid out, and like the quiz maps directly to the content on the slides. I guess like the only thing that they might miss out on a little bit is that we have certain parts, I think maybe near the end, where we like prompt them to have a discussion with peers or with other people. But yeah, that's like a more of an enrichment part of.
Okay. Thank you. And theoretically, they could self-pace with a partner, I guess, if it's their first self-paced class. All right. Thank you, Lulu.
Of course. Yeah, Zakir?
Hi, I have gone actually to unit up to 1 to 4, and I find it like really interesting, especially also like the glossary part, and there are lots of examples for AI prompt and prompt engineering and things like that. But again, as you say that, I thought that I was wondering actually for which age group, but you say that towards like kind of the high school, and I found it like a bit challenging for like grade 6 or what we call in like age 11, 12 or 13 could be really challenging. But also I think yeah, there could be some activities a different way, like as someone just said, that edu puzzle type, rather than like, you know, because like especially on unit 3 you have to type a lot, and I wonder like students may, you know, give up at some point. So that's probably something that you can improve. The other thing is that I wonder like if it is if the teachers, for example, can enroll the students as part of, you know, these things, and then how they can monitor the course, whether the students are taking the course, and, you know, how things like that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good question. So in the next section of the presentation, we'll talk more specifically about the activities. And the reason we set it up as like published activities is so that you all can copy them to your own workspaces, and then you can see how the students are using those. So that can kind of be like a benchmark for like, you can, after each unit, have the student run through the activity. You'll see which students are doing it and how engaged they are with it. But we were also thinking that the certificate that they get at the end could be something that they like turn into you via an LMS, or something like that. But yeah, it's not quite like an online course where you can see like step by step how far the students are going through. We thought that it might be kind of complicated to like have students set up accounts in like a different course system or something. But if you have any suggestions for platforms that do that really well, let me know.
Sure, thanks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very good questions. Yeah, Bob was saying mini 60-second interactive games or activities would be great. Yeah, and yeah, adding Edpuzzle activities or Nearpod assignments, or having it as an Edpuzzle or Nearpod assignment would also be great. Yeah, these are really good ideas. Yeah, we really want this to be like a starting point for you all. So, we're just like providing, I think, like a good baseline, but I do think there's like a lot more that can be done with this content and this course in general. And kind of to touch on that, Sun is going to share about the certification activities that she created for this. Yeah, Sun, if you want to share your screen, let me know.
Yeah, I'm down to share. Hi, I'm Sun. I've met some of you, not all of you, but so excited to see you all on the screen, at least virtually. And yeah, really excited to share the ways that I kind of created activities for this course. Let me just share my screen here. Tech might fail me. Let me know if, are y'all seeing my activities? We're all good to go? Heck yeah. Okay. Let's roll. Okay, so I am currently on the My Activities section of my own workspace. All I did was press create an activity, and then when I go into build with Flint, this is for Unit 2, by the way. So I went with build with Flint, and essentially all I asked was, hey, I want to create an activity that tests students' understanding of AI strengths and limitations in Unit 2 of the AI literacy course. I've attached the reference, and then I attached the PDF of the presentation deck that we shared with you all. And then I said, guide students through 10 scenarios, asking them to evaluate whether AI would excel or struggle with each task. And then I literally just pressed enter. So as Flint thinks and it creates this activity for me, I would make adjustments based on, let's say there's specific examples that I want to include. So let's say I wanted like a specific question on whether AI would be good at grading multiple choice assessments and why. Then I could easily say like, hey Flint, can you actually add a question on that? And that's actually one of the first questions that appears in that activity. So if I click create activity, it's still going to be like creating it right now, but for the sake of time, I'll just do the magic tab. Once it creates the activity, it was able to show, hello, today we're able to explore AI strengths and weaknesses. And I would be able to publish it into the public library, which is what y'all are able to see right now. Any questions so far on how I created that activity? No? We're solid? We're golden? Okay, amazing. So let's say I created the activity and then I'm sharing it with my students. So what would that look like? So when a student starts a session, they would be given this screen where it shows what the activity is, and then the opening message, which you all saw in the preview. As I explained, the suggestion of grading multiple choice math tests, that is indeed the first scenario that shows up here. So an example answer that I could give as a student would be, I think AI would be good at grading multiple choice math tests. AI can efficiently and accurately compare student answers to a predefined answer key. making ideal for this type of assessment. And as a student, you press enter, and Flint would be able to have that conversation with you. I think that I remember Bob was mentioning this, and I think another teacher was mentioning this as well. For certain units, I think what you can do is always ask Flint to, let's say, make the assignment shorter. Or I feel like this is a little long. Can you just shorten it from 10 questions to 5 questions instead? I think scenario 2 is not that strong. Can we provide another scenario for these students? It is pretty malleable. So I would say, like, in regards to the flexibility of editing these activities, it is really up to like how you want to present it with your students, or you can just use the base activity that we shared on the site and as part of the course for your students to try. Any questions there?
Oh, Sun, do you want to really quickly show where they can go back in and edit the settings?
Oh, yeah. Okay, so I can just show the duplicate activity, Lulu, and then go into, yeah. So let's say, and this goes into slide 12 of this, but if we are on the AI literacy course page, and let's say I click Unit 1 activity, so I want to create that activity for folks. Then all I have to do is click duplicate this activity. And then you see this on the screen. And then I go into activity settings. So that's going to be the 3 dots. Or if you zoom, like if you increase the display window, it'll literally say activity settings. And then I can either chat with Flint to update this activity, or I can use build manually. I tend to use build with Flint just because it's easier for me to almost like text Flint for changes rather than having to do like prompt engineering at all. So that's what I would personally recommend. But yeah.
Awesome. It looks like Blake has a question too.
Oh, yeah, Blake, hi.
Hi. I'm curious from students. So if I've made this activity, I have sent it out to, let's say, 10 different students to work through.
Mhm.
How are they going to have the exact same sequence of questions, or like how unique is their experience going to be once they're in an assignment?
Great question. So for example, I think it really depends on how strict you make the activity. So in chatting with Flint for building it. So for example, like for unit 2, the scenarios are actually listed out. So scenarios 1 through 10, I gave like very specific, here's what these scenarios should be. Let me show that to you actually so that yeah, so I'm realizing, okay, here we go. So I say the 10 scenarios to cover one at a time, and this is in the build manually, just so that y'all can see it in activity settings later. It shows exactly what questions are going to be asked to students. In other cases, if I leave it more open-ended and just say open a discussion, talk about, you know, AI ethics in policy versus society versus culture, let's say, and a student asks a follow-up question or their responses are different because every student is going to have individual responses to a discussion or a debate, Flint is actually going to be responding in a personalized manner, so that interaction might be slightly different. However, as a teacher, I would say you would get general feedback on how students are responding to those topics at hand and get a more holistic understanding of their strengths and weaknesses. You can also look at their individual chats, so you'll see like, oh, in general, you know, it says that my class was really strong in understanding AI policy, but they were pretty weak in understanding how AI impacts modern society. Very general, but it's an example. You can always click and then see, you know, but the student was talking about AI society in like the United States versus X, Y, and Z. Yeah.
Great. I have a follow-up question to that.
Mhm.
I love seeing the individual student strengths. Is there, if I've got 10 kids who are doing an activity, is there then like a dashboard or a summary of the class's experience, to your point, or am I only able to see summaries at an individual student level?
You're able to see the summary of the class. So once you have, once students submit sessions, essentially Flint is going to be analyzing all the sessions totally and then get the average kind of feedback for the class as a whole.
Mhm.
But you can also look at the individual level. So it's a
Yeah.
both and.
I can jump in and show a quick example of what that looks like. Here we go. Funnily enough, an example that I use in a lot of my trainings is an AI ethics debate. But yeah, in this example, you can see how on the left-hand side here, a bunch of different people have interacted with the activity. Flint will show you both like the students who have interacted with it and gotten grades and the ones that have not submitted their session yet. And then it will give you the analysis of the whole group. So here it's like summarizing the strengths of all the students and the areas of improvement and also suggested follow-up for all the students. But you can also go into any one specific session here and see like the full transcript and also the strengths and areas of improvement and follow-up that is for that one particular student. Yeah, and that's like why we wanted to make the activities associated with this course something that you duplicate into your own workspace so that you can see how all of your students are interacting with it.
Sorry, I have another question while you're on this screen.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about like teacher feedback? Like what does that mean when you are entering information directly into there? What do they see? Is that recorded and captured somewhere? I haven't played around with that feature.
Yeah. So this is like feedback on top of the feedback that Flint is giving them that you can leave as a teacher. Actually, I saw an update just this morning. We're probably planning on sending emails to students when teachers leave this feedback. But for right now, it gets recorded here. So if I say like good job, save, then this is visible to me later on, but also to the student if they came back in and reviewed this session. So you could like let students know like, hey, I left additional feedback. You might want to go back and like check that out. But in the future, we're hoping to send them emails directly of when you add that feedback.
Just sorry, I know I'm like dominating this.
No,
It
you're
would
good.
be great if that like email is something you could turn on and off. We find that students, when they get that feedback, it's an immediate like distraction from their wherever they're at when a teacher submits, or like to schedule when it gets sent or something like that, so it's not an immediate send. Just
Ooh,
from our end, that would be really helpful. So it's not
yeah.
when I'm grading it, then I get an immediate email back wanting to follow up on it when they're actually in another class right now and they shouldn't even be looking at it.
I see. A schedule send is actually a very good idea. I think the way that we have it planned out right now is you can opt in or out of the email sending, but maybe a scheduling is like a good in between there. Yeah, cool. Kate, go ahead.
So I'm literally getting interrupted like every 3 minutes by students. So I'm so sorry if you've already gone over this. But what I'm hearing you say is that you made the videos, but then we have to make the activities for the videos? No, you already made the activities as well.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, because when I saw Sun, she typed in a prompt. So what part was that then?
Yeah, she was just walking through how she set up the activities that we
Oh,
made
okay.
that you all can use.
Okay, great. Okay, thank you.
All good. Cool. Okay. Yeah, so this was the next tab. But yeah, we as Sun kind of already showed, you can duplicate the activities and share them with your students. But yeah, we also encourage you all to like make your own activities if you think there's like gaps in what we've made that you think would be useful for your students. And you can also edit the ones that we've already given you. So this is some examples here, like you could create additional quizzes to help them prep for the overall quiz. You can even have like the students have like an explanation activity where they have to explain to Flint's AI about what AI is, kind of like check their understanding before the quiz. And then I see like a lot of students when they have to like fact check the AI or like when the AI is purposefully giving them false information, which you can prompt Flint to do, that can also help them like be more critical of what they're seeing as output from different AI models. But yeah, you can also like edit the grade level or range as needed for these activities. And also to really quickly touch on this, because I kind of forgot earlier, within this like these slides, like we encourage you all to make them your own as well. So if you do like need to download it and like edit it, I do believe you can download it as a PowerPoint with the link that we've shared. But let me know if that's not the case. But there is like one section in particular that I think would be good to customize to your own school. It's the section on like responsible AI usage and your own school's AI policies and guidelines. We shared like a pretty generic like stoplight model here, but I do know a lot of schools have developed more comprehensive AI policies. So that might be good to incorporate into the whole lesson as well. Great, cool. Any questions about the activities or how to like kind of check students' understanding as you go on? Yeah, I can share the link to the slides. Do you want the slides for this session or for the AI literacy slides? Okay. Yeah, go ahead, Yasin.
So I was curious to know if you have strategies for encouraging students to do their own work when completing the activities. You know, it's a little bit meta here to think about how, you know, students could be using generative AI tools. You know, are there opportunities maybe in a new version to have more offline social assessments rather than them being, you know, within, you know, something that a student might feel like they'd want to use a generative AI tool? Or are there ways that you know, the teacher could encourage the student to use generative AI to answer some of these questions in kind of again a meta way?
Yeah, yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I think that's definitely something that you can incorporate into this whole lesson as a whole. I think we're trying to like encourage like some like conversation throughout these slides. That's like what Sparky is doing down here, where he's like asking some questions to the students, and like honestly throughout the videos, it like goes through everything pretty quickly. So we do also encourage you all to like pause at different points and, you know, have conversations with the students and really like make this a lot about like that connection between the teacher and student. There's like some part of the Shareout that kind of touches on this too, which we can talk about later. But yeah, I think like anything from like having those conversations and like making it like a very human to human experience to like even you can have the students create their own activities in Flint and ask them to use that to help themselves review this information. Yeah, the students are welcome to like take these slides and put it into a Flint activity and have it like quiz them on the content even. Or yeah, like we have like the AI glossary on our website that they could like put into a activity and then have them get tested as well. Yeah, so I think there's like a range of different ways that the students can ingest this information, and I think like encouraging all of that is ideal, but I do know there's only so much time in the school year and like you're making room for something like this. But yeah, does that answer your question slash thoughts?
Yeah, I think so. Happy to talk about it more another
Yeah.
time. I don't want to sidetrack the conversation.
No, you're good. You're good. No, I think that's like a really good thing to think about, especially. I think recently I saw a post on LinkedIn where it's like it was from an administrator at a school that we work with. He said like for so long their school was focused on like what is the right tool to use, you know, what is the right AI to use. But when they started shifting it into like what are our goals with teaching with AI, it became so much less focused on like what it is that they're using, like what specific software, and more focused on like how are they, like what are the outcomes that they want and like what are the processes that they want students to go through, and that like really help to align everyone. And even though like people might make decisions on what method is best for their students, they're like all kind of like honed in on this like same like learning outcome for the students at least. Yes. Okay. Great. So yes, Chris, I do think a lot of people have mentioned how they want to use this for like digital citizenship week or like media literacy week. I do think that would be like a really good fit. Go ahead, Miller.
I'm curious about what you think the best way to share this with people at our school is. So do I create a new workspace and put all the activities into there and share it with them? Or what's the best practice on your platform for organizing it so that it's all in one place so that I can share it with other people?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would actually suggest maybe creating a group for it. So let me share my screen again. So like as the administrator at the school or whoever is going to like manage all of these sessions, you could create a new group here. I'll just like create it in the workspace. I'll say like AI literacy course. Create, and then you can, if you make it unlisted, it'll like when you send the link to any student or any teacher, they'll be able to hop in and use the activities that you put in here. But you could also invite individual students through the members list if you make it private, or if you keep it open, then anyone can like search for this group and join it, even if they don't have like the specific link. Those are some of the options. And then from within this group is where I would like copy the different published activities. So let's see if I can fit here. Okay, so yeah, like here, as I like move each activity in, I can just like duplicate that activity to that specific group that I made. And then what like I think best case would be you duplicate all 5 of those into this group. And then as you share this group with students, they'll be able to see all of them in one place.
I would also mention that you can pin the activities in your school library, which is a new feature. So if you want those activities to be available to all teachers, view and duplicate easily, you can just pin it, or administrators can also pin it there. So, yeah.
Within the school library, I can't create a separate folder that would just hold those, right? They're just going to kind of be there with everything else in the library.
Yes.
So editing Lulu here, just want to pitch in really quickly to clarify a couple things with how best to structure the activities within Flint. So we kind of touched on either creating a group and having all of the activities in that group, or pinning the activities to the school library. So I think I would suggest your approach differ based on how you want to administer the activities. If you want to have all of the students use the same activity so that all of their sessions are in the same spot, and maybe like not have individual teachers manage the submissions to those activities, then I would use the group method so that everything is in the same group, and then you can see all of the activities and the student submissions for just that activity. But if you're wanting to use these activities and have the teachers be the ones who kind of manage their own students' sessions, like maybe have their homeroom teachers administer the activities with each class, and you want the sessions from the students to be grouped by homeroom, then I would say creating the activities as templates in the school library would be better, so that the teachers can duplicate their own copies and then share it with the students, and they'll each have their own copy of the activity to use. So really quickly to show you how that works, because I know I didn't demonstrate it during the session. If you go to the public library and find the activity that you want to use, let's say for example with this unit 2 one, then first you need to duplicate this activity to your own homepage. So here I'm going to duplicate it to home. That way you're making a copy in your school's workspace. And then once you have this duplicated into your school's workspace, I would actually suggest like trying it out making sure that it's the kind of experience that you want for your students. This is also a good step to add any like specific customizations for your own school. And then once you're happy with it, you can publish the version that you like to your school library. And to do this, you go to the three dots, click publish activity, and then here you can publish it to the school library. And yeah, just confirm that you haven't added any like sensitive personal copyrighted content, and then you can publish it. And here it'll show you the link to that activity, so you can copy this, share it with the teachers. But you can also go to the school library and then find it in there and pin it to the top for the teachers, so that they know like that the ones that are pinned are the ones that they should use. And it'll be easier for them to find as well. Oh, and when you pin an activity, let me unpin this just to show you again. It'll give you the option to notify everyone by email. This will notify everyone at the school. So, yeah, unless you want students to also be made aware that they can copy this activity for themselves, maybe sending the link is the best way. But yeah, that was everything I wanted to add on here. So, yeah, back to the session. Okay. Yeah, I'll go ahead and move on to this share out and feedback section. But essentially, sorry for the attack of so many words, but I asked a couple administrators who I know have like a lot of student usage at their schools, a lot of students using Flint, about how they trained their students. So I just like threw in exactly what they said into the slides. But for example, James Bender from Good and Mercy Academy High School, he had actually started training the students first because the teachers were a bit hesitant. But yeah, he said like he did this through like grade level meetings, and next year they're planning on incorporating Flint training as a part of their incoming freshman orientation program. And that was actually something that teachers requested because they found that it was really helpful when students already understood the basics around AI and how to use Flint specifically. But yeah, he suggests for everyone here that understanding Flint training, at least as like a two-tiered process, both teachers and students need to like have this sort of AI literacy and also, I guess, specific software literacy for us. But yeah, also this was like good inspiration for us to like go ahead and create a teacher AI literacy course as well. So that is next on the docket. Yeah, and then Micah Malloy from Brophy Prep, he actually shared a link to like this podcast episode featuring one of their students. The student actually has like one of the most used activity templates on our platform. It's like an AP English language practice and grading activity. So he thinks like from a bigger perspective, like really trying to empower students and to do things like what the student did has been like how they've approached it. So, you know, like really working with the students a lot, having like modeling usage for them. And yeah, he said encouraging them to try things out, celebrate them when they work, and reflect with them when they don't so that they can fail forward. Like keeping that open conversation has been really important for their school at least. And he even added at the end here, he was like, you know, Ronan is a wildly bright and capable student, and he doesn't want to take away from that, but he doesn't think it's a coincidence that he did all this through one of the teachers, Shelby Stringer's class on campus, who is also one of their power users. So like this entire ecosystem of like fostering AA literacy between all the students and the teachers, and like encouraging and empowering them to use AI in unique and productive ways has been really important for them. Yeah. Does anyone else want to share like how you all have been training students, or like what your thoughts are now? I know there was like a little bit of discussion in the chat on like creating a Canvas course for this, or like Digital Citizenship Week.
Yeah, I'll just say that I work specifically at a middle school, K-12 middle school, and we do teacher development. I've been I've been exposing them to Flint. We call it Flint integration. It's kind of cool. So we'll be doing a little bit of Flint integration here at the K-12 level. Week by week, just showing them a couple of things. It's not mandatory, so teachers are kind of diving in and just doing things here and there. But the reason why I'm attending this call specifically is because we don't do any sort of student-focused AI work quite yet. We did a couple of ethics activities through Win at Social. I mean, it's sort of like the Social Institute and the Win at Social program. They have several like AI ethics and that kind of activities that you can do with students from 6th grade through 12th grade, which is pretty neat. But we don't have anything formalized, so it'd be nice to have something more formal. And I guess the question I have though is, how are we integrating this AI instruction to students targeted, where it's programmatic, but at the same time not losing class time or instruction time, especially if you have a crazy schedule like we do, where there's not a lot of time to fit in extra stuff throughout the school day.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's where like some of the talk about like the self-pacing came in. Like I think unfortunately it's not like ideal, I guess, to just like assign this as homework and then hope that the students do it. But there might be ways that you know, you can like check the student progress throughout. And if you do have like dedicated time for digital media literacy or that kind of stuff for students, that might also be a good place to integrate it. But yeah, it is pretty tough. I know the schedule is always packed. It's packed.
We've also, hi, sorry, Aisha, Brian, I'm at McDonough School. We've also tried to implement it into our advisory program and homerooms as well, where it's just a quick kind of huddle session, if we're thinking about Social Institute terms, where it is, we know that you have this upcoming test, or you have an oratory, or you're working on an essay, how might you prompt the Flint AI? And then also let's actually look at it and what do we notice, and then even bringing in some of those ethical questions that students need to ask themselves and need to be aware of, but then also to build their capacity to think about, if I have this particular math unit or a test coming up and I want to create that study guide, but what do I really need to work on and how to really hone in on that? So we've tried different prompts to help students, just different questions, and then having students put in their prompt and kind of respond and see like, what was the feedback, or what was your conversation? Was it helpful? Was it not? What else might you ask again? Like if you had to ask another question, what would it be? And so that always kind of catches students when they say, I don't know what I would ask next. Like, if you did, what would it be? And then getting them to continue to think through that process. So we've tried to use that time. I think with our schedule, we also have a wellness block built into our middle school, where literally every grade level at a certain time is with 6 or 8 different teachers. And that's been a great space for us to also utilize that time to really work on AI and ethics, but then also really get them into Flint and working and understanding what the possibilities are. So that's been something that we've benefited from, that advisory homeroom time. And then if you do have baked in your schedules a time where it's like a class meeting, X period, whatever that might look like, we've tried to incorporate that in there as well.
I've got a question that Aisha's share made me think of. So we've been playing around with creating activities that then we send to our advisors with some guidance, and then they complete them like as a group. I'm curious if a colleague is listed in Flint as a teacher, if that's their user level, can they then also see activities like from the student perspective if they were completing it as a student, or if they get the link, are they automatically given like the back end of the activity?
No, they're actually treated like a student, so they can go in and complete the same activities as if they were a student. With the activities, actually, there's like really only the distinction of who owns the activity and who is like a member of the activity. So it actually treats teachers and students the same as if they're someone who is learning. Yeah, so you can definitely use activities with teachers as well. Yeah, go ahead, Yasi.
Just a clarifying question there. So the default guardrails for students, when they're engaging using the chat feature, are those no longer do those no longer do those no longer apply at all when they're using the activity feature, even if their user type is set to student?
It's actually the opposite, I guess. So like for teachers, they're treated as students when they use activities, and students are treated as students when they use activities. And then in the chat, it's where we give additional, I guess, leeway for teachers. So like Flint across the board is kind of treating everyone as a student, except for when teachers are using chats.
Makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, and I just want to note, like, as I was going through the registration questions, I had asked like one question of like, to what capacity are you training your students so far? And there were only a handful of people who actually had an answer for that. So if you all like haven't started yet, you're by no means like behind the curve. I think it's still something that a lot of people are trying to figure out, and it's like that's why like we really created this resource, because we were getting asked a lot if we had like a student facing deck or like any sort of like materials for student training. And we had created something like a long time ago that's just like literally 4 articles on our health center, and we really thought that it was time to revamp that. So yeah, with that being said, um oh, sorry, these are out of order. I'll go back to that. We do want to hear your feedback on this whole course and these materials that we've put together. Like, we truly are viewing this as version 1. We want to work with you all to make this version better, and also to expand to make courses for lower school, middle school, and also teachers. So if you all have any feedback for any of that, or any suggestions for how we can do these next courses, please share that feedback with Sun. She's our like everything content manager, and she'll like share it with our team, and like we'll put the right people together to make that all happen. I do know that we've already gotten some really good feedback from a couple teachers, a couple of you all on the call actually. So very grateful for that, and excited to see what comes next. Yeah. Any final thoughts, questions, concerns before I like wrap up the session? Or anything that you all want to share with the group? Cool. Okay, awesome. So going back to the other slide, we do have an Campfire session for ACT and SAT prep next week. We'll be putting together some activities. I'll have my sister test them, who is a recent high school grad. And yeah, just like how can we help students with things like this that I'm sure are causing them a lot of stress and they can just use more practice with. So yeah, that will be next week's session. And yeah, finally, the recordings will be posted on our website. You all who have RSVP'd as coming to this session will also get an email once that's live. Yeah, and as always, here are the QR codes for our Campfire calendar. And also, I don't know if all of you have seen this, but we do have a new Flint community, where we're like, it's kind of like a mix between a forum and actually, I guess it's mostly a forum, but here you can like continue the conversation on this topic or other topics. We have different spaces for like brainstorming ideas, for asking questions to our team, for showcasing cool use cases of Flint that your school has developed. And that's, I'll also leave the URL here. It's just community. Wait, Flint. Hold on. Let me make sure I get it right. Community.flintk12.com. Yeah. So if you all want to join us there, we can continue this conversation and continue to see how best we can leverage Flint in schools. Great. Yeah, so that's all I had for today. If anyone else has questions, happy to stay on a little bit longer, but we can also let everyone get back to their lives a little bit earlier.
Thank you, Lulu. Thank you, Son.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks so much. See you later.
Thank you all.
Thank you.